There we go.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
My bitch a choosing lover, never fuck without a rubber. Never in the sheets like it on top of the cover. Money on the dresser, drive a compressor. Top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. Trash like the buck for $40 in the club. Fucking up the game, bitch, it gets no love. She be cross country, giving all that she got. 1,000 a pop, I'm pulling business off the line. I smashed up the gray one, bought me a red. Every time we hit the parking lot, we turn head. Some hoes wanna choose, but them bitches too scary. Your bitch chose me, you ain't a pimp, you a fairy.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side. If you know what I mean, I show you shit you never seen. The 7 wonders of the world. And I can make you the 8th if you wanna be my girl. I say my girl, I don't mean my woman, that ain't my style. Need a real street stalker, walk a green mile. You piling up the paper on the dining room table, cause you able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable. Baby, rockin' Russian sable, keep that chiller on the rack. What I look like with some $1,000 shit up on my back. I'm $1 million man, they need $1 billion bitch. Put my pimpin' in your life, watch your daddy get rich. Easy as ABC, simple as 1, 2, 3. Get down with UGK, Pimp CBU with B. Cause what's a hoe with no pimp, and what's a pimp with no hoe? Don't be a lame, you know the game and how it goes. We try to get toes.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. Welcome, everybody, to a fantastic show we have for you tonight. We are going to be taking a look at everybody's favorite red-rimmed glasses constitutional scholar known as Delete Lawz, and we have some fascinating new info to share with you tonight. I'm going to first preface this by saying that I'm going to, do my utmost best to leave the personal attacks to the side and only focus on certain allegations, claims, and boasts by Mr. Delete Lawz that he has made in the last couple of days. This man has been live streaming up a tear in the last 72 hours, so much so that it is very, very hard to keep up. But in addition to that, I have 2 very, very special guests with me tonight. And we're going to introduce them right now, with the first one being the always awesome, always memorable, always sexily handsome Blue Bacon. How you doing, Blue?
How are you doing? Because I'm doing great.
I am not sober. I'm too sober for this right now, so I should say that.
You said it. All right.
Yeah.
It's all the permission I need. Let me just...
Exactly. And the next guest we have is our good friend Paul. Say hello, Paul. You just muted yourself again. There you go.
Oh, sorry, my screen isn't keeping up.
Oh.
There we go. All right. My name is Paul. Really, I think the only way that any of your viewers may know of me is if they've read the comment section on most of Broken System, Broken Trust's new videos.
Oh.
I've left what some may describe as dissertations rather than comments, trying to explain to the man why the things that he says are not
Paul,
correct.
You sweet summer child. There's just no hope in that area. I think
can't fix him.
Myself, Blue, a former sovereign citizen, Juan Galt, have all tried. Mandy has also tried her hand. It's just no. It's a black hole, man. You're not gonna get anything back. But you came to both myself and Blue earlier in the week with some interesting because I personally haven't been following along with Mr. Delete Lawz ever since our interaction that we had on Team Skeptic's video, his channel. I haven't really interacted with him. I really haven't been following him outside of the occasional bombastic titled live stream. But you noted to me an interesting video that he played earlier this week about him going into this particular town in Ohio, Ironton, Ohio, and I guess trying to embark on a crusade of justice. Of apparently this town is more corrupt than Albania. It sounds like, there's bribes, there's harassment, there's beings, all kinds of corruption from top to bottom.
Sex scandals are involved.
Sex scandals, apparently, yes. So it'll be interesting to see what we find out, because I have I know you have we mentioned this earlier tonight, that you mentioned a video that he displayed today. But I downloaded that video, and I also downloaded the previous video, the original video that brought us all together. And so what we're going to do is take a look at certain snippets. We're not going to take a look at this because I don't think I'm not going to put my audience through that by having them sit through 2 hours of this man's self-filleting live stream. So we're going to keep it short and sweet and focus on the good stuff.
Yes, and I have sat through all of his recent live streaming.
Oh my god!
Because I guess I'm a masochist. But
why?
It's like it's the car crash you can't look away from. It just draws you in, and you just, once you start, I, at least for myself, can't seem to not watch. So it's been very, very interesting and scandalous, to say the least.
Indeed.
But to give some background, I myself am an attorney in Ohio.
Oh,
and
of course,
so
yes.
the fact that he's present in Ohio is kind of what piqued my interest into reaching out to you guys, because I know the rules that he's claiming he knows better than the lawyers do, and I can assure you all that he does not know them better. I am relatively new to the state of Ohio, but I've taken the time to read the rules that he claims. State something, but it's kind of a mess.
Interesting. So right now I've shared the screen and shared the first video in question. Let me go ahead and make it so that everybody can see everything.
To give a little bit more background, he went to the town of Ironton, Ohio, which is very southmost point of Ohio. It's kind of a tri-state area between Kentucky and I can't even remember the other state. But he came here because he said that he was asked to go there to address these claims of corrupt police officers in Ironton. And he's posted many, many stories with individual people who he's interviewing. And I would use air quotes for the term interviewing, because he is not partial like a normal journalist would be. The vast majority of his interviews include rhetoric that he inserts over the comments and the statements of the witnesses. And so you can tell from the very first minute of a conversation with somebody what his views are on the police. And he's referred to them all as pigs, corrupt.
Pigs, tyrants,
Right.
terrorists,
Torture cuffs.
And I don't say this to disparage his views of police. I understand there are people in the country who don't like police and people who have good cause to be afraid of the police based on their own interactions. But he's trying to portray himself as a journalist, and objectivity is one of, to my knowledge, the key underpinnings of journalism in the country. And he just displays that he has none of that.
Well, I think honestly, he kind of goes back and forth between journalist and activist, and especially in the few moments that I have listened to him, and for having his own self displayed documentary on Terry v. Ohio, I would more akin to him as an activist rather than a journalist, which is nothing wrong. Which is what I tell a lot of First Amendment auditors too, is that, at least be honest. You're not a journalist, you're an activist. There's nothing wrong with being an activist, but just be honest about it. But I digress.
And so to preface this video, he's gone to the clerk's office to meet one of the women whose stories he's taken down about her interactions with the Ironton police. And it's what he does in this video that is really kind of what turned my inner alarm bells on.
Right. All right, so we're gonna get this started here.
I was neglecting my children. I had just fed my daughter, and it was a deputy sheriff, and he tried to get me with resisting arrest. I'm 120 pounds, and I urinated all over myself and had to go to the jail like that. And he didn't even was.
I do not want to be the one that pauses every 3 seconds, but your weight is kind of irrelevant as to whether or not you were resisting arrest.
Resisting does not require effective resisting, just the act of attempting to.
Yeah.
Wasn't even called to the scene the second time, and he still arrested me after the cops were going to let me go. Thank you.
I believe you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Who was the cop that did that to you?
Sheriff Deputy, Spadaki or something.
Find out his name.
What is it? No, it starts with the S.
Starts with an S.
Yes, and he's a big guy.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
You want to say your name?
Amber Fraley, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. How you guys doing? Thanks.
Freddie don't fucking know about it. Freddie what?
Yeah, he knows my dad. The video that.
So tell me about your father. I'm waiting for Sarah here. We're gonna do her power of
He actually
attorney
just got locked up and sent away for 9 months, and
I got a
the
video.
cops actually beat the shit out of him. I got the video. I gave that to him as well. I don't associate with Blankenship and McKnight, and I don't support what they did either.
What was
So-
it? Blankenship McKnight who beat him up?
Yeah, I have that's in
Yeah.
the video.
Pull
was
it up.
both of them.
Let's take a look at the video. So her dad's in a store. I just saw the video. I'm waiting for Sarah. Sarah's gonna come down, and what these guys are doing is, you know, the MO of the court system is that people don't know their rights. They don't know the law, and so what they do is people who are willing to help them, what they do is they kick them out of the room. So we're gonna get power of attorney today for Sarah and for Tim. They won't be able to kick me out of the room anymore. So
Here on the video, I don't know how to.
just push play.
Okay.
Oh, I got it. It's an iPhone? Come over here in the shade so people can see this. Is there volume on this or?
No, there's no sound on it, but it's.
Oh, I think it's playing.
Yep, it's playing. It's right
There
there.
it is. There it is.
There's my dad.
So will you
walking.
hold that right there? Just hold that right
Yes.
there. Just try not to move it. I'm gonna flip the phone around so people can just watch it because I don't have time to edit stuff. Just move this little thing right there.
So
Okay. So there. Watch this. There's. Watch this. Watch how savagely they just immediately attack. It's absolutely incredible. So you're gonna see her dad is gonna appear somewhere right over here in a second.
Okay.
There's the clerk. There's the clerk right there of the.
It's actually my mom that they also arrested as well.
Oh, they arrested your mom at the same
no
time
reason,
for no
yeah.
reason. Sounds like Sarah Page getting arrested with Tim because she won't give the name. She won't give the name. And that's all it takes is if you just don't answer their questions. Oh, I think I messed it up there. Push play again.
I don't know what we're supposed to be seeing.
Yeah, there's
I
nothing
guess,
there.
I guess the evidence of the arrest. Well, he messed it up supposedly. So I don't know. Hold on.
I think I had it earlier.
I can.
Hey, there you are, Sarah. One
Hi,
second.
Sarah. I saw your video.
1 second. Let me get this just right.
I can get it to exactly where it is.
Yeah, give me where they start attack. I mean, you should see this. They just attack the guy. And by the way, this could be called Anywhereville, USA.
Right there's my dad walking. He's walking back there. You
Here,
see.
try not to move too much. I'm gonna try to get. Okay, there's the dad right there.
You see one cop right there. And then you see another cop walk in.
So there's two cops just walked
Yep.
in. Yep.
And then after that. And then.
There's your mom.
Yep.
Keep going a little bit more.
Right there. That's where it starts.
Oh, there you go. Don't move your phone too much. Keep going. Oh, I'm sorry. You're moving your phone. There you go. It's okay. We're trying to get this so that we don't have to go through editing. Okay, now let it play. So there
It's
they are.
playing.
There they are right there.
And then they start punching him in the face for absolutely no reason.
So let it play.
I didn't see. I can't. I don't know.
You can't see anything.
I don't know what.
Hey, I just want to watch it play. So they're on top of him. You got two guys on top of him, McKnight and Blankenship.
And he's small. He has a hurt hip from it as well. He rocked 2 black eyes because of it.
So let me ask you a question. Your dad at this point, he had assaulted somebody, right? He had punched somebody in the face and was beating up children. Is that why he was attacked like this?
What?
No. He had a warrant.
Oh, what was the warrant for?
Not checking in with his
Not check. So he didn't check in. He didn't check in with his probation officer, and so they went to the, what was it, 7-Eleven Quickie Mart? Is that where it was?
Clark's.
Actually, Clark's up here on Park Avenue.
I genuinely, I'm not going to say one thing or another. It may very well be that the cops use excessive force, but I could not see anything between the video itself being very low res and then watching a video through another camera. I can't really make anything out one way or the other. But I think the overarching issue here is this guy, Mr. Delete Lawz, is coming to this town to people who believe that they have been, wronged by the police, and he is acting as though he's able to provide them some sort of assistance. And we're going to kind of watch and see what he thinks and explain what he thinks that they can provide.
I'd like to add something if possible. Whilst I'm interrupting.
Go for it.
So a lot of these interviews he's doing with people, I haven't seen many of them. I've seen little bits and pieces that people have been kind enough to share with me. And it's always very one-sided. And anytime there's something that paints the police in a negative light, Chili jumps on it and asks no follow-up questions. Now, me professionally, one of my jobs was to investigate things. I was a criminal investigator. And I know that when you're dealing with this sort of stuff, you need both sides, and then you need to take those sides and put them together and apply them to what you found independently. The video we just saw could have easily been, and I'm not saying it was, I'm just saying there are a lot of scenarios that someone who was actually interested in getting the truth of the matter could have easily been. The police approached the guy, said, "We have a warrant for your arrest. You're under arrest." And he tried to push past them, and they grabbed him, and during a quick tussle, went to the ground. It's blurry. It's grainy. It's small. We don't know what happened. But of course, I don't anticipate Chili giving us accurate information based on all of the content I've seen of him, which is him giving information that is designed to promote his view of things, whether or not it's accurate. But that's what I got.
One other thing that I would add too is that in a previous video of his, Chili tried to do an analysis of a case called Illinois v. Gates, where it was talking about the reaching the probable cause standard from just an anonymous tip that led to somebody being arrested. And he misstated the way this case was ruled by claiming that an anonymous tip meant that the police could go no knock raid your house, was the conclusion that he drew. And he got very offended at his perceived notion that a simple claim from somebody else could result in your house being no knock raided by the police. But at the same time, here he's, in some of his videos, he's reaching these almost close to defamatory statements about police officers based on the one-sided stories of these people who he very coaxingly, rhetorically phrases these interviews to disparage the police. So you saw a little bit of his rhetorical strategy where he said, your dad must have been
beating up children or something like that, or something.
So he'll go on tirades with some of these interviews where he'll say to somebody who says, I was wrongfully arrested by the police and abused, he'll say, you must have been a criminal, you must have attacked somebody and that's why they arrested you, you must have done this, that, and this. And then they say no to all of those questions so that it seems as though they were literally arrested out of the blue by these police who just descended upon them with no warning.
Yeah. So the rest of it is okay. All right. Perfect. Now what he's going to do, he's going to go with another individual. He goes to many different people in this town. And now he's going to the clerk's office, and we're going to see what transpires here. Good.
Could I get a power of attorney form? You guys have that here?
Oh, perfect timing.
That's okay. Oh, that's okay. You just got a piece of paper here, and I'll just go ahead and I'll make a power of attorney form right here, right now. And then, do we turn in our evidence here for the trial for running a stoplight? Is that where we turn our evidence in here?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so pause it right here.
Yeah.
They went to the clerk's office, which is a place that you can file estate planning documents like a power of attorney. And not to boast myself, but I was an estate planning attorney, and I practiced in Minnesota for a couple years, and then we moved to Ohio for my wife's job, and now I work for a prosecutor's office in Ohio. And I drafted many powers of attorneys for clients, and this is what he's attempting to do here. A power of attorney is a document that if I were to sign it and appoint my wife, she would then have the legal ability to make decisions for me. She could sign contracts on my behalf. She could operate bank accounts on my behalf. It's a legitimate and powerful document. You would only want to give a power of attorney authority to somebody who you trust explicitly. It creates something called a fiduciary responsibility, meaning you have to act in that person's best interest if you hold that power over somebody else. Typically, a person who is appointed in a power of attorney is called an attorney in fact, which you'll see later on that Chili is conflating attorney in fact with attorney at law, which very different things.
Which on this channel, many people are very well aware of certain groups and individuals who conflate an attorney in fact with an attorney at law. Very, very much so. So a lot of my viewers are very well versed with this level of confusion.
And one key distinction here, too, is that he asks if there's a power of attorney document at the clerk's office, which, because it's such a common document, there are places that have forms that you can fill in. So a non-attorney person could do this for themselves and say, I want to appoint my wife, and then get everything arranged that way. But the clerk's office, as you can see here, did not have one. And so he's taking a blank sheet of paper to handwrite an entire legal instrument himself.
I done what limited research that I done is that I did see that Ohio actually has its own official document for power of attorney.
Right.
As a matter of fact, my first Google search for power of attorney Ohio, the first link is a copy of the standard form. That's I guess assigned by the Ohio by statute, and yeah, so it's very readily available to find.
Right, because there's something called a statutory short form power of attorney, meaning this document is so common that the Ohio legislature has set out a statutory kind of draft of the document and how it could look to be as effective as any normal person would need it to be. You can certainly change it to add or retract specific powers, but for the vast majority of the public, if they just go to that statutory document, it would be sufficient for the purposes that they need it to be.
Right. So right now, what he's doing is he's handwriting what he's claiming to be a power of attorney document at the clerk's office for this individual right here.
So just so you guys know, and I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of education here as we go down.
Oh God, here we go. Yeah, get ready for this, guys.
The road. So just so you guys know, the 14th Amendment gives you the right to contract. You can contract with any person. I can contract with any of these women here. I can contract with her. You have the right to contract with anybody you want. Just so you know. So when I write an official contract that's power of attorney, it's legal and binding because we have the right to contract, and the government, it's really none of their business unless they don't want to get taxes out of it.
So, Paul, why don't you help us out with that one? Is he right that we can contract however we want, whenever you want, with whatever you want?
I mean, technically he's correct that you can contract with anybody, but what he is doing here is both, I would say, both not valid based on the way that you'll see him try to execute this document, and not legal because he's not an attorney. Like, it's one thing if I want to, well, it's a little different because I am a lawyer, but say Chili had a wife and his wife wanted him to be her attorney in fact, she could write out that document herself and then have him sign it, and it would be fine. presuming they follow all of the execution requirements based on statute.
Yes.
But the issue is him drafting it for someone else. Drafting a legal instrument, something that will affect the rights of somebody else, is the practice of law, and that is governed by, I think, in every state in the country, the Supreme Court of that state. That's how it is in Ohio. That's how it was in Minnesota. To my knowledge, in the Supreme Court of every state, the highest court is the one that governs the practice of law within that state. And you have to be a licensed attorney, especially in the state of Ohio, to execute legal instruments.
So let me ask you this: had he downloaded the PDF that I found, brought it with him to the clerk's office, and had him and her sign it, and properly executed it, would that have been fine? Because he didn't draft the document.
Well, it depends. Drafting does not only mean that you actually wrote out the document like he's doing from scratch. Drafting also includes selecting the provisions of a power of attorney that you would want to fill out, because the way most of these statutory forms is, it says who are the parties going to be, and then a list of powers, like you want this person to have power over your bank accounts, to have power over your ability to sell or buy property, and you have to check off each one of those, or select all of the above is usually an option. And the fact that he, in this hypothetical, would be the one to make those marks himself and not her would also constitute the practice of law. As an attorney, I used Minnesota's statutory short form power of attorney document because all of the language is right there, but I still filled out the specifics for our clients based on what they wanted. And that was still the practice of law. So she would have to fill out the document herself, and the only thing that he'd be doing is signing it.
Okay.
As the person assuming the power of attorney. Otherwise, it's practicing law.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm guessing he's trying to use this as some sort of business contract, right? Like, you paint my windows, I pay you $50. It's a contract. This is just a contract. 14th Amendment says states can't, deprive us of privileges and immunities, and we have the right to contract, and that's why that's related. To my understanding, this isn't at all similar to that kind of contract.
Well, this is.
But
Well, I mean, this is
that'll be his argument.
Well, this is in its base form can be construed as a contract, but because the rights and the obligations and the duties are so significant as to so significant that they are effectively, it's a regulated act. So that's why it can only be drafted and made with with an attorney present, because of the significance of this contract can bring.
And one of a previous video of his was him going with this woman, Sarah Page, and I believe it's her fiance or maybe her boyfriend, to the police office to give statements directly to the sheriff about the abuse that the police have allegedly done to her. And the sheriff brought Sarah and her boyfriend back into the police building, shut the door to keep chilly in the lobby area. And that's kind of what he referenced at the beginning of this video, where he said, I'll be able to go into the police station with Sarah and conduct his version of an investigation in his mind. And so the key issue with documents like a power of attorney form is, like you said, Artie, the rights that you're giving somebody else over you. It's the same principle with practicing law in a courtroom. You can represent yourself pro se, but the only reason you can do that...
Don't, no spoilers. No spoilers. We're going to continue on. Okay. All right.
Thank you. That's nice of you. Try to do is they.
All right.
Just write your address right there. So what they try to do is they try to separate people who have knowledge about the law and people who understand their constitutional.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I had it blank. I don't know what happened there. I hit the wrong button. My bad.
Rights from people who don't have knowledge about the law and don't know their constitutional rights. It's a big game. And last night, the Lawrence County, the Chesapeake, all the different police agencies in the tri-state area had a secret meeting last night. That I got informed. There's informants everywhere. There's informants in this office. There's informants in every office that are calling me and telling me the inside information.
He's got informants at all levels of government in Irontown, the county. Did he also mention the state? Yeah.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yep. Yep, that's right.
She's like, a secret meeting? Even she's looking kind of dumbfounded by that. It's like, if you say so.
Write your date of birth just right here in this little. No, I need your address has to go here. What's that? No, I need your. That's. Oh! I see. Okay. No, I'm not. I told you I'm not real quick on the uptake here.
This listening to delete Lawz count towards you CLE. No, I unfortunately Juan, it does not. Speaking of which, I'm way late on my CLE, but we're not going to talk about that.
DOB, put your DOB right there. So we're just going to write an official contract here and turn it in. Then we're going to turn in our evidence. Are you all clerks or are you all working reception?
Clerks.
You're clerks.
Deputy clerk.
Deputy clerk. So does someone want to witness this signature so that we can have an official contract here according to the courthouse as well?
Oh, I'm not a notary.
You don't have to be a notary.
Notary expired.
You're not going to get fired, honey.
I said expired.
Oh, I see. Oh. Just sign right there, hon, and I'm going to sign right here.
We'll wait till they finish their transaction, then we'll talk about it.
Contacted me yet? You figure he's hearing all these things about all this. I mean, so many videos.
His office is right there. I have no idea.
His office is right here.
It's right around the corner on the
Okay.
other side.
So here, and give me that
I believe
zip
he's
drive,
the
sir.
mayor.
Yeah.
Today's going to be the 24th or 25th.
Maybe
There was
the
much
24th.
rejoicing.
Okay, and this.
She
Okay.
just needs to bring that to court with her.
Well, you got to turn it in 3 days in advance. Today's the last day we can get it turned in time, according to the Ohio State procedure rules.
All right.
So I want to make sure that zip drive is submitted, and I don't want to get you on camera, ma'am, because you've never done anything but nice to me. So I don't want to try to hurt you or anything. So there's the zip drive we're turning in. This is the official the body cams that show that Blankenship stalked Sarah for 10, 15 minutes before he finally pulled her over, harassed her for 45 minutes while she was trying to get a job. So
All right, pause it for a sec.
Sure.
So my understanding, based on what Chili has said in his videos, is that on Monday, 2 days from now, there will be a court proceeding for a traffic offense
And there
that
was
Sarah
much
had.
rejoicing.
Yeah.
And Chili is both executing, trying to, this power of attorney document so that he can go with Sarah to court. And the zip drive is car video camera footage that she has from her car of the police allegedly stalking her as she's driving through a neighborhood, which ended in her being pulled over by the police. And he's submitting that to the clerk's office so that it can be used as evidence in the court proceeding on Monday.
Huh. I also right. So we'll stop and talk about what he discussed with the clerks once it's fully done. I also see that Blue Bacon is becoming an exhibitionist and exuding his BDSM. I will say in our on Artie's Corporate Fiction, we do not kink shame. But I just wanted to let the audience know that Mr. Blue Bacon is engaging in his own self-torture. So if you're into that, there he is.
I signed, and you can put the clerks right there. I'm so sorry, I should have given you a signature. And then I'll take a photograph of that, and you can have the hard copy.
You want a copy of this?
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
tried contacting Mayor Sam Cramlett for almost 2 months after the very first incident. I left multiple messages. I left notes with the clerk in his office. I tried to email, never had nobody contact me back. And that went on for about 4 months up until they finally dismissed my case.
And this is the same case they offered you 5 days in prison on? And then the next hearing, they dropped it. Thank you so much. So you guys got a copy of that. You got a copy of that. I'm just going to take take a photograph of that with your phone because I'm rolling live. I don't want people to have, even though it's a small town, everybody knows where everybody lives and stuff. I just don't want to dox anybody for any reason.
Yeah, if you're driving down 52 and you blink, you'll miss us.
Yeah, are you guys happy I'm getting rid of the few bad apples? Is
Oh my God.
everybody here happy about that? Because there's only a few bad cops. There's only a few. There's only a couple bad cops, right? So everybody seems to be overjoyed that I'm exposing the bad apples. Or is that not true?
I don't know. I haven't been following you, so I don't know.
Oh, you haven't seen those videos, huh?
I've seen bits and pieces, but no. I'm not following.
Did you see Sarah's story? Did you see her whole story?
All of it, no.
Because those would be the bad apples.
Okay.
If there are good cops, I've never met one, but if there are good cops, then, I guess just the bad ones are harassing her. Everybody seems really happy about it so far in this town. I do appreciate you
Not
guys. Thank you
quite.
for your time.
In another live stream, he seems to find
gonna leave
members
your
of the
pin there
public
so
who
you
are
won't
not
be-
exactly keen on his presence, but
He's become a local celebrity in just the last few days.
oh, imagine. So we're gonna stop there since he's walking out. So what you saw was his initial discussion with the clerks saying that asking if they can witness the signature. And they, one of them pointed out like I'm not a notary, or that she later said that my notary commission expired. And I noticed that, and then he said you don't have to be a notary. And I saw that you smiled, Paul. So what can you tell us about Ohio's statute regarding the proper execution of a document such as a power of attorney?
Well, they actually have a statute titled Execution of Power of Attorney. And in it, this is Ohio Revised Code section 1337.25 under Title 13 of Commercial Transactions. And so the reason I smiled is that this was something that clients would ask us in Minnesota as well. Do you have to have a notary sign for the signatures that are on an estate planning document? And in very rare circumstances in Minnesota, the answer may be no, but we universally said, yes, you need to have a notary sign this. And in this ORC 1337.25, it says, a signature of a power of attorney is presumed to be genuine if the principal acknowledges the signature before a notary public or other individual authorized by law to take acknowledgements. So he may think that anybody who signs a contract like I will cut your grass for $50 written down on a sheet of paper can just be witnessed by anybody. That may be the case. I'm not sure, but estate planning documents need to be notarized. They want to make sure that the people signing the documents and acknowledging that they are taking these responsibilities that go along with being an attorney, in fact, that the people signing it are actually who they say they are. And contrary to what a lot of sovereign citizens think, a notary does not sign something saying it's true. They sign it saying this person is who their signature says they are.
Yes. Yeah, that's...
And so,
yeah.
and so what goes along with this execution issue is that I am, just from what I've seen here, I'm confident that this is not a properly executed power of attorney document, but it's still an attempted practice of law. And so execution of estate planning documents is actually a pretty litigated issue in the court system. I took an estate planning class in law school where we read a whole series of cases about, is this person's, usually it was a will, properly executed? You know, you see all of the ridiculous cases put in textbooks, but there was one where a man was working in his barn and he was pinned against a wall by a tractor, and he wrote like 2-sentence will in his own blood on the tractor, and there was a lawsuit about whether or not that was a legitimately executed will. And so these are key issues, because wills and powers of attorney deal with substantial issues when you have estates involved and when you have somebody who is acting on another person's behalf in a legal capacity. So just looking at what I've seen here, not a validly executed power of attorney, but still he's attempting to gain a substantial amount of power over this woman, whether he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons or not.
So she's not really in danger, but he might be.
Well, I would argue that she is in danger in a sense. And another thing that you have to have when you're executing an estate planning document is something called testamentary capacity.
Yes.
And that means you have to understand what it is that you are signing over. You have to understand if it's a will that you're having done. You have to understand what is contained within your estate that you're saying, here's how I want it to be distributed in your will. You have to understand those things when you're executing it. And that's another key factor that's been litigated a lot in previous estate planning cases. And so
for a brief example, a minor almost automatically does not have testamentary capacity. And any sort
usually by statute, minors do not have testamentary capacity.
So any contract that's signed by a minor is usually going to be null and void if challenged in court for a breach. So that's just the most obvious example that you can give of somebody who's lacking testamentary capacity. Other people who might have certain diagnosed mental health issues, it could be challenged that they did not have testamentary capacity when they signed the document, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most common situations is that you have an elderly parent who is in their 90s. They haven't done a will yet, and they want to do one, but they aren't quite with it. You know, they can recognize people, but they can't quite understand what's going on in a certain situation.
Correct.
That calls into question whether they have testamentary capacity. And even though a person may be a legal adult, if they don't understand what it is that they're doing, whether through just sheer lack of knowledge about the subject, because an attorney would be able to explain this to her. I told my clients, here is exactly what it is that you are saying in this document. Here's what the effect will be. Here are all the considerations you have to make before you sign it, and make sure that this is still what you want to do. We don't know whether he's done any of this for her.
Right.
Not that he could, because he's not an attorney. And another key point. Sorry, go ahead.
But I just wanted to add, I unless you could correct me there, and I apologize. I don't know if he ever in this live stream whether he detailed to her what he was drafting, what she was signing.
Right. He doesn't in this live stream. I'm saying I don't know whether he has explained it to her previously, like when they were planning to go to the clerk's office in the first place before this video happened. But even if he did, he's not an attorney. He can't effectively explain those rights to her. Even if he were to read the statutes himself and explain it to her, that's still, he's not credentialed to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Where's Sam's office?
It's around this way.
His re-election videos out to lunch. To the fundamental principles of America, and that's why these dirty swine are having emergency meetings to talk about me. Well, why are you having emergency meetings? Because I haven't done anything wrong. I'm literally a journalist and a civil libertarian, and I'm here to try to get justice, to get rid of the few bad apples. Why would you be upset about that? I couldn't imagine it.
Pause it again. So every time that he's confronted by somebody who asks, are you an attorney? Because he does speak in a lot of legal lingo, as people would say.
The magic legalese language known by us bar attorneys.
They'll ask him, are you an attorney? And he'll say, I'm a civil libertarian. You know, he never says, no, I'm not an attorney, which leads me to think that he wants to be one. He wants to act like one. But
Jeremy do it all over again.
He acknowledges that he isn't one.
He's a certified state agent, Blue Bacon.
Right.
That whole debacle was
licensed to California.
But the other key point of what he did in that office is that anybody looking at that would see him writing the document, then passing it over to her and pointing and saying, sign here, write something down here, your address.
Yep.
That's another key point of him instructing her to do this. And where I was going with the testamentary capacity argument is that we as attorneys in Minnesota had to be on the lookout for people who were being taken advantage of by their family members, vulnerable elderly parents who had adult children who may be saying, I want to get the majority of mom's inheritance, and trying to say, okay, mom, this is what you want to do, right? And we would always be very careful to have all other family members leave the room and converse just with the person who's doing the will and saying, here's what's going to happen. Are you sure you want this to be the case? And whether or not this woman understands what's going on, just based on what I've seen in this video, I would be concerned that she's maybe not even being openly manipulated, but goaded into this by him. You know, he's come to town, he's new, she doesn't know him. He's validating all of her legitimate or otherwise fears about the police.
Yeah.
She thinks that she's been wronged by the police, and he's saying, yes, police are pigs. They're stalking you. They're trying to steal your money and just harass you. And so she's being influenced consciously or subconsciously by that, it appears to me.
No, he's clearly feeding off of her victimization, whether legitimate or not, and he's influencing her in that regard, which can go into, you know, a potential issue if this sort of if this power of attorney is called into question. But I also generally agree with you that what he put on paper really wouldn't have any legally binding authority in the first instance if he ever tried to enforce it, which it sounds like he may end up doing.
Right.
I do want to real briefly because I did dabble a little bit into estate planning myself a long time ago. You probably know far more than I do at this point, but I do also want to make a personal note that, you know, for those of you out there, and as Paul could probably attest to, you know, this kind of estate planning is something that you may want to be talking to with your parents. If you're, you know, an adult and you have parents and they haven't had this conversation with you, because God knows that has been one of the biggest issues and the biggest sources of strife amongst family is when it comes to inheritance. And I can attest that my parents recently, as a matter of fact, last year, I believe, or sometime last year, they had their wills and their living trusts revitalized, or they talked to an attorney and had it discussed. They took care of it, all of it, but they brought us, meaning myself, my sister, and my brother, all together to talk about it and to give us copies of it, so that so that you know, everybody's on the same page. So God forbid something like this, something that doesn't happen, where my brother and my sister and I are fighting with each other over what happens if and when my parents, you know, pass. So that's something very important. But I'm only segueing into that because because of the importance of what this guy is trying to get from her and what potentially can happen if the wrong person goes to the right victim and tries to potentially take advantage of them, and what they could possibly do to their life if they had this kind of power.
Right. You're very correct, Artie. Everybody should be doing this both for themselves. They should have the conversation with their parents. The key thing to keep in mind is all of your parents' stuff is theirs. You know, where we see the unauthorized or the undue influence issue is when children kind of say, this is some stuff of mom and dad's that I want, and my sister wants this and I want that. The stuff belongs to your parents until they pass away and it's their estates, and then it gets distributed appropriately. But every time you have a major life event, you get married, I would even say buy or sell a house, there's a death in the family, every time you should update your estate planning documents to make sure they're reflective of the current situation, because you hate to have a situation where somebody gets in a car crash and they're in a coma and there's nobody legally allowed to make a decision for them.
Yep.
You know, these documents have very, very practical real life applications in certain situations, and you hope that you're never going to need them, but when you do need them, you really want to have them. And typically it's a power of attorney for legal decisions like bank, financial stuff related to property. It's usually called a healthcare directive, was my experience, for health related decisions. 2 different documents. And to give a hypothetical here, say for example, Sarah had a house that she wanted to sell and she and her boyfriend were living in it together. If he wanted to have a say over it, Chili, if he had legitimate power of attorney, could upend all of their plans simply because she's given him this authority, not necessarily understanding the full potential of what could happen. And we've seen, I mean, I'm sure have been cases in the news where somebody of a younger age kind of starts taking advantage of an elderly person. I had the same concerns for Kim Blandino when I was hearing about his living situation with that elderly person.
Right.
You know, it's something that happens.
I think just last point, and then we can continue on. I think in my experience, I think in New Jersey they're called living wills. When it comes to somebody who's in it
from state to state. Yeah,
who's incapacitated but still, you know, they're alive but they're incapacitated, or a living a medical power of attorney as well.
And I'm sorry, one other anecdote. Coming from Minnesota, when I was in law school is when Prince died. And the Minnesota Supreme Court had a link to his publicly filed estate on their website because so many documents were filed every day over that estate. But the really sad part about that is in a will, you can decide, I want to leave money to charity. I want to give some money to a friend of mine who's down on her luck. You can make those decisions. If you pass away without a will, usually states will have statutes indicating who is the person who is supposed to receive your estate based on their relation to you.
Yep.
And because Prince passed away without a will.
Oh, he died intestate? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He gave tons of money to charity while he was alive, but because he died without a will, none of his money is going to charity. And I'm confident that if he saw that happening, would have been really sad about that. And so it's a really difficult scenario that I've seen happen that I know a lot of people would not want to have happen to them.
Yeah.
So estate planning documents are important. Is the moral of the story.
Exactly.
Imagine why you
legitimately executed.
Yeah. Well, that has to be executed right properly.
Yes.
So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, I'm heading down to Peddler's Cafe. I'll be there all day. I'll be there all day. I'll be there all day. And I'm you know what I'm not going to do is I learned my lessons from TikTok. I'm not going to get into the minutia of little individuals, you know, well, you said this or you said that, right? I'm not going to get into it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay.
Because that would be challenging to try to defend. So they're now learning to just speak in generalities. Gotcha.
Stay on the highbrow stuff. I'm going to stay on the justice stuff, on the legal stuff, because now I can file a federal civil rights lawsuit for Sarah.
And there it is.
Because
he's laughing too.
By the way, I want to thank Tom Popson. Tom Popson in Missouri. Tom Popson, he's the one who sent, and also JoJo in Dallas, Texas.
JoJo?
I want to thank JoJo and Tom Popson, 2 guys. Of course, there's X Factor and John Connor who. John
Connor, as in Terminator. All right.
My understanding is it is not the same John Connor as in Terminator. It's a hunch of mine, but I don't think so.
Give me your power of attorney.
And he's referenced having paralegals in these states where he has other lawsuits going, but I'm not quite sure if he thinks that is paralegals working for him, like they work for attorneys, or if they are giving him legal advice, which is also against the rules.
Yeah, I'm going to have to I'm going to have to assume that if these lawsuits are legit, they're state level, because I could not find him as a party in any federal suit.
Sometimes he very clearly
Except
states
one.
in his videos that he's going to file federal civil rights lawsuits. I mean, they love to claim the 1983
42
lawsuits,
USC 1983.
yeah, they love to claim those.
I think I found one lawsuit, but it was against him and his company, where he lost and he had to pay like $4,000 or something like that. I don't know the details of it, but that's literally the only kind of lawsuit that I was able to find regarding him. So he just dropped the bombshell right there by saying that because he has this power of attorney from Sarah, he could file a federal lawsuit on her behalf. No. We already know on this channel that you cannot do that. And in Ohio, they definitely say that you cannot do that. And I have here one of the cases that we shared with each other. This is Dayton Bar Association versus Addison, and I want to actually point out the one of the better head notes that they had here. Where was it?
And this is Supreme Court of Ohio, so the highest state in Ohio.
Let me see if was it. Oh, my bad. It was a different case. But in this one, Clarence W. Addison II was charged with the unauthorized practice of law. He what happened is, here we go. What did he? I was reading the other one too, the Office of Disciplinary Action. Respondent is not and has never been an attorney admitted to the practice of law, granted active status, or certified to practice law in the state of Ohio. But this is the first one that deals with specifically whether or not creating a power of attorney is the unauthorized practice of law. Now, it may be an open question as to whether or not, I mean, the fact that he attempted to create a document that was supposed to be a power of attorney would be enough if he was to be investigated for this. I don't know. You never know. But it did specifically here, Mr. Addison created, prepared for Helen Smith the following documents: a will, a durable power of attorney, a durable power of attorney for healthcare, a living will, and a declaration of trust. Only the living will specified it was prepared by the respondent. However, the respondent admitted that he prepared all of the documents, and that on review, we agreed that the respondent engaged in the unauthorized practice of law, and it warrants a $10,000 fine. And the most pertinent paragraph is here. Quote, the practice of law is not limited to appearances in court, but also includes giving legal advice and counsel and the preparation of legal instruments and contracts by which legal rights are preserved. And we have consistently held that giving legal advice and preparing wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and deeds constitute the unauthorized practice of law. Chelsea Titled Agency of Dayton Incorporated, 100 Ohio, ST 3D 356, 1997, or excuse me, yeah. So, respondent is therefore enjoined from engaging in practice of law in Ohio, including the preparation of wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and deeds, and he was fined $10,000. This is a 2005 case. The second case now that deals with whether or not having a power of attorney gives you the ability to file litigation on their behalf. In this case, is Office of Disciplinary Counsel versus Coleman. This is this is from, again, the Supreme Court of Ohio, held in 2000. What I wanted to point out was a paragraph that I actually that I liked, because it actually gives you a little bit of history lesson, and I'm kind of a history nerd, so I appreciated the court going into this. And the paragraphs has, in the first place, persons holding powers of attorney have historically not been considered attorneys who can appear in the courts. When a principal, through the execution of a power of attorney, designates another to transact some business that could have been transacted by the principal, he appoints an agent to act for him as a, quote, attorney in fact, end quote, or, quote, private attorney, end quote. To a corpus juris secundum, a lot of sovereign citizens love citing the corpus juris secundum. Yeah. An attorney, in fact, has been consistently distinguished from an attorney at law or public attorney since at least 1402, when certain attorneys in England were examined by justices and, quote, their names be entered on the roll, end quote, of those permitted to practice in the courts. First Oxford Dictionary, second edition, 1989. Thus, a person holding a power of attorney whose name is not entered on the roll is an attorney in fact, but not an attorney at law permitted to practice in the courts. So that, I think, is clear, cut, and dry, that even if this chicken scratch that he wrote on a blank sheet of paper was a properly executed power of attorney, he still would not have the ability to file litigation in the courts. And while this is specifically Ohio, I'm going to say it's both at the state and federal level as well. Bold prediction, I know.
And the Ohio statute, section 4705.07, deals with unauthorized practice for attorneys. It states, no person who is not licensed to practice law in this state shall do any of the following. And it says, hold that person out in any manner as an attorney at law, represent that person orally or in writing, directly or indirectly, as being authorized to practice law, and commit any act that is prohibited by the Supreme Court as being the unauthorized practice of law. And then it also states, only the Supreme Court may make a determination that any person has committed the unauthorized practice of law in violation of that previous provision. And so the Supreme Court is the one who decides what is the practice of law, and they have ruled in these cases that what he did is the practice of law.
As well as, you know, the him attempting to even file a litigation would also constitute the unauthorized practice of law, in addition to this execution.
And so there are a couple of reasons why somebody can't file a lawsuit on somebody else's behalf when they are not a lawyer. One of the reasons is, besides just not being a lawyer and authorized to do it for them, is that you don't have standing. You can bring lawsuits based on issues regarding yourself. Like if Chili had been allegedly abused by the cops like Sarah is claiming, he could file a lawsuit for himself. He does not have standing to file a lawsuit on Sarah's behalf. She would have to do that herself. And so because he's recognizing that maybe he isn't, that he doesn't have this standing to sue on behalf of Sarah's alleged incident, he's trying to do this workaround of getting power of attorney, thinking that will allow him to be the one in court representing her. And that is not the case.
Mm-hmm. So these two highlights of this video were the major ones. I don't
anonymous, but I want to just take the time to thank Tom Pop.
This is, driving off to meet whoever. But we're going to next go. I first want to go through some of the super chats. And then we're going to. Do you have a copy of the video that you showed that you timestamped for us, or I can bring it up if you want myself?
I had the link in the email, but I think I can pull it up here. Yeah, maybe
Again, I have a copy of it ready to go, and we could just.
Yeah,
you could just,
why don't you do it?
You can link to me
lawsuits and deep corruption or something.
And all you could just link to me the timestamps, and I could just easily put us to it.
Oh, okay. I've got the timestamp email right here. First one is at 19 minutes and 26 seconds.
Perfect. All right, where are we?
maybe go like 20-ish seconds.
Are you ready to go through super chats now? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Matt Reed, subscribe to the channel. Joshua Lee sent a $25 super chat and said, act now to get your $25 sheet of paper to your $140 poster from Chile. Thanks for doing this, you three. Hank's Corner sent a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hank. Joshua Lee sent a $5 super chat. If these people have legitimate concerns, why are they going to file a complaint rather than making a big show? Linda Lee, 72, sent a $20 super chat. Wow, craziness happened. Always entertaining, but just here to support you guys, especially Bacon. Smiley face. Joshua Lee sent a $5 super chat.
Oh my God.
The other question is, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just looking at Blue's cosplay.
Oh gosh, I can imagine.
Please continue.
Okay. The other question is from Joshua Lee is, what is the guy on probation for? For a warrant? Could be a violent criminal or smoking pot. We don't know. The guy that they tackled, I'm assuming. Joshua Lee sent a $10 super chat. I take bets on if Delete Lawz abuses the power of attorney. Don't give that out freely, folks. Very good point. Angry Drunk Bumblebees sent a $6 and 1 cent, it looks like, super chat. We may need to seek opinion of Kim, Supreme Court Justice, child extraction specialist, drafter of many fine contracts, and demand for payments. And Peter Swat became a channel member. Thank you, Peter. Joshua Lee sent a $10 super chat. Secret meeting? Question mark. Oh, wait, he's serious. Then let me laugh even harder. Chibi Peach sent a $5 super chat. Please tell me he screwed this up and it's not legit. He could ruin her life and she has no idea. That's a good point.
Yeah, well, I mean, given that, you know, I don't think he even properly notarized it or even witnessed it. Never mind that it was like looked like a brief scratched together handwritten note. Given all that, it's doubtful that it would be legitimate if somebody asked for the power of attorney or a copy of it.
Right. The fact that it was handwritten doesn't necessarily mean that it's illegitimate.
No, I get it. But it seemed like all he probably wrote was like a single sentence saying, I give Chile de Castro power of attorney over my affairs.
Right. And not only the lack of a notary witnessing the document issue, but an argument could be made in general, contracts that violate the law are null and void. So even if he thinks this is a legitimate contract, he's violating the law against practicing law as a non-attorney. What's to say that doesn't void this contract?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Stephen Page sent a $5.86 super chat. If Chile gets the power over the person's rights, does that mean he can scam her or use to scam people and get away with it?
If it was a legitimately executed document, yes. Given the number of, he could like ruin her financial life or life in general. If she gave him all of the available rights that he could possibly give. She could possibly give to him.
So if I had power of attorney over my mother, I could go withdraw money out of her bank account as her attorney. In fact, I could agree to sell her house. And depending on the way the document is written, she may not have any recourse over the actions that I take. And what's more is that if you execute a power of attorney document and then you fall into a coma, that person's the only one who's able to make legal decisions on your behalf now. So it is an incredibly powerful tool and can be used for a lot of really good situations where it needs to be done, but it is also a document that makes you incredibly vulnerable. So you only need to do this for somebody who you trust explicitly.
Yes.
That's scary. I noticed he was asking that of a lot of people in his videos. Gia sent a very generous $99.99 super chat. Thank you, Gia. Great knowledge and advice, Paul. So
Thank you very much, Gia.
Joshua Lee sent a $10 super chat. Confirmed. Delete Lawlz is confirmation bias personified. And another thought: don't a lot of cult leaders act like Chile in getting people to join their cause?
Well, you have to have some level of charisma and some level of confidence. I mean, that's indicative of a lot of
undeniably
people.
Charismatic.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
He's a fast talker. He says a lot of things that to people
With confidence.
With confidence. To people who don't know that it's wrong, it sounds right. Sometimes
So
that's
yes,
all it takes.
yeah, and you're right. Sometimes that's all it takes. And
one thing I did want to say about, I think it was Gia's super chat, about the good information. Part of the reason that I wanted to bring this to you guys was because of a comment Artie made in a previous video where he said the reason or something to this effect, the reason I do this channel is to combat misinformation because it does hurt people. The sovereign citizen gurus who are taking advantage of people hurt them. It is something that has detrimentally affected a lot of people who, if they hadn't come across this information the way they did, may not have tried to do these things that are unsuccessful. And if this woman is truly vulnerable, I want to speak out against this misinformation.
yeah, I've said it a lot, and I'll say it a lot, and I'll continue to say it. As much as on this channel we have a laugh at some of the foolishness that people engage, the traffic stops and the window smashes and the courtroom tackles because they say the stupid thing and they continue on. And yeah, it's funny, but at the same time, I also point out over and over again, and I really go kind of heavy-handed on the particular gurus that are out there. I really go from a position of more, anger or seriousness against particular gurus because they're the ones who are peddling the information. Because it's one thing to deal with somebody who acts with confidence and think that they can get themselves out of whatever trouble that they're in. Because it sounds like they have more agency and they'll do it whatever. And I'm like, all right, you do you. But I can also tell when somebody who isn't as confident with this information and is only doing it because they were sold to. And like I said, I've seen so many cases come across my alerts of people who think that they could get out of paying their mortgage or think that they can avoid foreclosure. They can avoid serious jail time or, avoid paying back taxes by paying a guru this $400, $500, $1,000 package or $2,000 or $5,000 package. Looking at you, Mr. Freedom Law School, Mr. Mutaheda. Then they don't work, and they get people even were in a far worse situation had they been able to talk to legitimate counsel. But again, just like a lot of the alternative health gurus who say all the medical doctors are the Satanist cabal secret organization that wants to keep you sick, these guys, these gurus, David Straight, Carl Lentz, Dave Cares, Deprogrammed Enlightener, Mark Stevens, God, that effing guy, Mark Stevens, especially him, all of these guys, they also do the same thing where they just completely take a dump on lawyers. They're all the bar attorneys. They're all evil. They're all in on it. They're all out to get you. They're a bunch of Satanists. They're not even citizens of their own country. They want to do is get away from them. Come to me. Buy my package. I'm here to help you get over these petty shysters, as Mr. Alphonse likes to attribute to us. It's the same stuff. It's just the law rather than your health.
I'm sure that history lesson we got from the other case is going to spawn a whole new slew of arguments saying, see, this does go back to England and they're all British Accreditation Registry members, and they have it out for us. The
1666 Sesquivi Trust, etc., etc. You're all a bunch of out at sea, dead fictions. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, again, the absurdity. It's one thing to talk about the absurdity of that kind of train of logic, which again I find it hilarious that these guys actually believe this. What's not hilarious is the end result of many people who do this, who try to employ these tactics, and it's not the gurus who are put in jail. It's not the gurus who are fined. It's not the gurus who are put in jail. It's not the gurus who lose their house. It's the people who bought their packages. They're the ones who lose out.
And even if like Anthony Troy Williams, he just recently was sentenced to 30 some years in prison for the mortgage fraud stuff that he did, but he had people who he was quote unquote helping try and testify in support of him at the sentencing hearing, and that prompted the judge to rule harder on him.
Yeah,
it is a cultish mentality that some of these people can command, and even if the people who are the victims and lose their house and go to jail and are fined get some kind of restitution, the amount of time you've wasted, any time you spent in prison can't be recompensated. They suffer penalties, and they shouldn't.
Well, it wasn't just that they came to his defense. It was the fact that they admitted to the judge that he was still helping them while he was in prison awaiting sentencing. That the judge said that just tells me that you did not learn your lesson and you have no intention of stopping what you're doing, and that's why she gave him almost the max sentence for what it was, because he would not stop.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So I think we're at the we're gonna stop here briefly, Mandy, and we'll get through the rest of the super chats later. So I think we're I'm at the 19-minute 6-second mark. What was it? Is that good enough?
That's probably fine.
All right.
For you to try to get me to say something, Andy, your network will pay me out. I won't stop on that lawsuit till I get paid.
Oh yeah.
Pause it for a second.
Go ahead.
So the first video of him at the clerk's office was on the 24th. This video is from today, and it's a good thing I have no life and I was able to dissect this video earlier this morning. But he previously was interviewed by a local news station, and during that interview, he was confronted by a parent who said, "You caused a lockdown at the school," and that led to a whole argument about whether or not he actually did that. And there was a reference to something posted in a story from the news organization that was interviewing him at the time, and he started pointing the finger saying, "I'm going to sue you, you defamed me," and over again. So he, in his later videos today, has just been fixated on the lawsuits he's going to file against the Ironton Police Department and this news organization.
Channel 13 KOWK, I think.
KOWK TV, yeah. I have information on that.
Yes.
I was in the process of making a video on that today, actually. It should hopefully be coming out soon. What happened was, allegedly, according to the police, the elementary school and the high school in that area were put on a soft lockdown, meaning it wasn't a full lockdown, but access in and out of the building was scrutinized a little more, and then some of the doors were locked that may not have otherwise been locked, but things still happened. And the original report said it was because a video had been shared with a student or their parent that was concerning, and we watch Chili's videos, and there are certainly some concerning things that I think a school would be concerned about. Depends on which video we're watching. However, later they updated that story and said, "Oh, no, that thing that the police told us, we contacted the superintendent. The superintendent said that there are no schools that are being locked down, and the initial report is not accurate." And so something is wrong. I did a little more digging, found out that the school does appear to have been locked down. The principal of the high school confirmed it. However, it was locked down allegedly because Chili was on the campus, not because of a video. So it would appear that the police at some point were made aware of the video and were led to believe, or created the belief themselves, that the lockdown was due to the video, when in reality it was more of his presence. And probably after that, a video became sort of shared around the students and parents as to who this guy was. So did a lockdown take place? It would appear that yes, a lockdown did. The only thing that isn't necessarily accurate is the reason it was locked down. However, the reason is still Chili. It's just, was because he was present or because of a video regarding him. Gotcha. That's really what the question is. Chili doesn't seem to understand that that's what the problem is, and that's the lawsuit that he seems to be interested in pursuing, is, you lied about a lockdown. Well, not so much, but I imagine you guys have a lot more information on the defamation side of that whole thing.
I love going to court. If you haven't noticed, I go every day, even when I don't have a court hearing. I go every single day. You got to hire a lawyer. I don't. Big difference between the two of us. I don't need a law degree. I don't need to have graduated from college to know the law. Why?
Wait, so he hasn't even graduated college? Oh.
Watch my lectures on education. You'll see what I know. Forgive me for being indignant. I just don't have any patience for garbage and bullshit. Forgive me. You're probably.
I agree.
Probably just on the wrong page, brother. That's all. You're probably just on the wrong page.
That's the gist of this particular segment, where he.
All right. So what's the next timestamp?
This particular segment, he emphasized, I don't need a law degree, seemingly both in reference to the lawsuits that he's intending to file on his behalf. Like, if he thinks that the news channel defamed him, he has standing to try and sue them for defamation because he's the one who was allegedly defamed.
Right.
But if he's also referring to, I don't need a law degree in addition to the lawsuits he wants to file on Sarah's behalf, he's very wrong.
Yeah.
The next timestamp is 25, call it 45.
25:45.
And so here he's talking about some previous allegations against the police that he heard from these people he interviews about them being in the high school and forcing students to delete videos off of their phones of alleged police misconduct.
All right. We're about there.
The cops made them delete because I'd be killed. They would kill me. There would be people who would get their gun, whether they're going to be caught on camera or not, and they would kill me. And I respect that. Because you don't molest children. Sorry. Looking at my phone right now, they sat right next to you and forced you to delete the video.
They wanted to see us delete it.
The cops made them delete the video.
Sorry.
That's a violation of your First Amendment right. They can't make you delete the video ever. If they did that to you, you have a lawsuit against the cops. Let me show you how to fill out the forms.
Wait.
That is a civil rights violation. The police cannot make these women, these young adults, they cannot make them delete their videos. It's against your constitutional rights. That's against your constitutional rights to be the press. He's right.
He's right.
So,
referring to himself. God damn, man. That is.
Yeah,
that is
NP. Listening to his own video.
I mean, I thought I was being facetious about it, self-flating videos, but I mean,
if that isn't confirmation bias, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
But the key statement from that clip is, if the police did this, you have a lawsuit against the cops. Let me show you how to fill out the forms. First, I would state that if you're planning to file a federal civil rights lawsuit, I don't believe that they have the same boilerplate-like forms for power of attorney like they do in the statutes, but showing somebody how to fill out forms that affect legal rights would still be the practice of law. If you're doing something that affects somebody else's rights, that would be the practice of law in the legal field.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes to representation in court. If you want to represent yourself in court, you have that right because it's only your freedom, your protection from paying a fine for violating a traffic code. It's only your potential penalty that you are risking. If you appeared for somebody else in court, it's their potential penalty you're risking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Supreme Courts of states have an interest in making sure that people who have gotten a legal education and shown that they can effectively argue cases in court can be the ones to represent people. That's why attorneys have to go through the rigorous standards that they do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The next clip, probably actually just let this one play right into the next one.
Did you guys invite Pam into your house? No. Pam.
If you don't know, I believe Pam is the chief of police for the town.
Pam?
Pam.
What'd you do, Pam? You made these kids delete their videos off their phone? That's a civil rights violation. Pam Wagner, you made these kids. Hey, these girls I spoke to, I will help you fill out your civil rights lawsuit. And if you sign over power of attorney to me, I'll represent you pro per, and we'll sue them together.
Pause.
This is a confession from...
Yeah.
There he goes again. So he's saying, if you sign over power of attorney to me, I'll represent you. He says pro per. I'm assuming he means pro se. Pro per means you are the person appearing. Pro se means it is you representing yourself.
Yeah.
He's advocating for other people to do this signing over of power of attorney to him. And if he was talking to high school students, they're minors and statutorily do not have capacity to execute estate planning documents. So not only could they not do that, he would still be practicing law. It's...
Yeah.
This was the part of the video that alarmed me the most.
Yeah.
I can't show...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Then the next clip, I think, will be 38 minutes, 11 seconds. Or call it 38 minutes even.
We are at 37.
Arizona right now. I'm suing in Mississippi right now. Right this very second. I'm suing in Texas right now. It's my favorite. I love it.
Again, to anybody out there who are attorneys or who have access to court records in these states, and you can do a case search or case lookup, kind of let us know whether or not he actually has, litigation filed. Again, I can only say that he does not have, at least under his name as a party member, he does not have any suits, open suits at the federal level. I tried to do a pacer search and came up empty.
I love it. Because you know what? I'll win in each and every case. You know why? Because there's a video of it. That's why I'm gonna win each and every case, because there's a video of it. I'm suing 5 people in Mississippi. I'm suing 2 people in Arizona, 2 entities. One is the state, the other is a judge. I'm suing here tomorrow. On Monday, I'll be suing News 13 and the Ironton Police Department for defamation. And then I will be...
Wait, did he say tomorrow?
I think he thinks today is Sunday, but he means...
I was going to say, if today's Saturday, he can't sue anybody. Well, he can't file them tomorrow.
He can try. The court
Don't tell him that,
won't be open.
Yeah.
Suing
We're going to get a video tomorrow.
Yeah.
Under
where it's just,
they're power of attorney.
violating my rights for not
because
being open on
Marlbury versus
Sundays.
Madison, I'm sorry, let me educate you. The
Okay,
18
go back like 15 seconds and just play that part again.
All right.
Every case, because there's a video of it. I'm suing 5 people in Mississippi. I'm suing 2 people in Arizona, 2 entities. One is the state, the other is a judge. I'm suing here tomorrow. On Monday, I'll be suing News 13 and the Ironton Police Department for defamation. And then I will be suing on Sarah's behalf under pro per as power of attorney.
Ah, there it is.
There it is. So, again, he uses pro per. He thinks that being an attorney in fact makes him an attorney at law. And that is not the case.
I'm actually wondering if he thinks, if he even knows that he is, again, assuming he actually properly executed a thing, that he actually is considered an attorney in fact. I think he just says, like, I have power of attorney. power of attorney. You know what I mean? I don't even know
Right.
if he even understands that.
It's the attorney part of that phrase, power of attorney, that makes him think that I can do everything that a lawyer can do now, it seems. And he had said, I'm suing all these people in these other various states. Sarah seems like the first person who he's tried to have execute a power of attorney for him, but he could be doing this in other states as well. So if there are attorneys out there in those states, this is something to be aware and cautious of. But he mentioned in Arizona, he's suing 2 entities, one of which is a judge. The reason he's suing her is because he lost in his traffic case in Arizona.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Of course he's suing. Of course he's suing her.
I'll win every time claim is already faulty.
Yeah, I'm going to I'm willing to put, thanks to this grandiose YouTube money, I'm actually willing to put down a $500 that he's going to lose his case against the judge. And
oh boy,
Chili de Castro, if you're watching this, put it on the table. $500. We'll come to an agreement. $500 that you are going to lose that case against the judge, assuming you're actually suing her in the first place.
Witnessed, entered into record.
Thank you.
As you were.
And the other thing about what he said is, I'll win because there's a video of it. This is a little bit of his confirmation bias negatively affecting his standing here, because even if there is a video of something, it has to meet the requirements for whatever suit, complaint, whatever it is that you're filing. If he sees a video of a cop arresting somebody, but it's a legitimate arrest, even if there's a video of it and he tries to sue for an unlawful arrest, that doesn't make it a successful case just because there's a video of it. It has to meet all the elements of a crime. It has to meet all the elements of a tort, if that's what's being tried. He seems to think that filming everything and his own dialogue and rhetoric laid over the video is going to create this foolproof argument for a jury, and they're just going to watch the video and be like, yes, this man is right.
Yeah.
And then rule in his favor. And that is not how court works. It might be nice if that was the case, but that's not how court works.
Yep. All right.
Because Marbury versus Madison, I'm sorry, let me educate you.
Oh God. Yeah, I want to listen to this one.
Yeah,
quick.
we got to keep going for this.
The 1803 case of Marbury versus Madison states that the federal law is supreme, that it holds supremacy over any of the states which are individual republics. And so what that means is that here, right here, in this state of Ohio, that once I have power of attorney under Marbury versus Madison supremacy clause, you cannot create new laws that go against the federal statute.
I thought he was going to cite Marbury versus Madison to base the idea that he can act as her attorney, but no, he didn't even. He just took that as a given.
Right. He didn't make a coherent argument linking his point of I have power of attorney and therefore I can sue on her behalf to what the case law says.
Right.
I mean, if he's thinking that because he has power of attorney in the state of Ohio, that means he can use that elsewhere, that is to a degree correct. Some states will have statutes indicating
reciprocity.
A power of attorney executed in Minnesota can and should be respected in the state of Ohio, for example.
Full faith and credit.
Right. But if he's arguing the supremacy clause,
he's now trying to argue the actual substantive merits of the case and not having anything to do with his ability to get power of attorney and to file litigation on her behalf. Like he jumped into a completely different argument.
Powers of attorney are state drafted documents, or you do them within a particular state. He didn't even reference a federal statute that he's claiming would be overriding the validity of an Ohio power of attorney. So I heard this and I was like, I don't know what he's actually trying to argue here.
Right.
So I'll be suing in the state of Ohio for Sarah Page and Tim Lyons, representing them. And we're going to have that fight in court, and I can't wait to have it. Because I'll file an appeal, and then I'll file another appeal, and hopefully we get to the Ohio State Supreme Court. I hope we get there.
I don't think you're going to get that
All right,
far,
so-
man.
But here's the key. He just said earlier in this video, I'll win every time because there's a video. And then here he's saying, I'll appeal, meaning
Wait.
he's expecting a loss.
So he's already assuming
You
that he's
don't
going to
appeal a
lose.
victory. Yeah. You don't appeal when you win in court. You just say, thanks, bye.
So he's already assuming that he's going to lose.
That's what I hope we get.
Well,
Because ultimately,
Go ahead.
I think what he's convinced of is that it has to be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court to affect the entire state. Like that a ruling just in the district court, I don't know how Lawrence County is where they are in Ohio, and I don't know what their court system district looks like, but if he wins in the district court in Lawrence County, that he thinks it's not going to have overarching precedent over the other parts of Ohio, but district courts cite to each other within the state all the time.
Right.
So he just wants the grandiose notion of going to the state Supreme Court to get a ruling from the highest court in the state. It's a little frightening, to be honest. And so that was the last part of the clip from the video that really stuck out at me. But he's gone through this roller coaster of assertions of I'll win every time because there's a video, but then I'm going to appeal every case until we get to the Supreme Court, and you can only do that if you lose cases. But he seems unhinged to me, and that's just my personal opinion. But one other thing I did want to mention. He's been accused of being a narcissist directly to his face. And I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I can't comment definitively on anybody's mental status. But what I took away from those assertions of narcissism, just in looking at a definition of it, this comes from the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, because I'm from there. Narcissism is one of several types of personality disorders, a mental condition in which people have an inflated inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. So he's been accused of not being empathetic, but he counters that by saying, I'm wanting to do this for other people, or something to that effect. But where I see his lack of empathy is that he can't seem to think of a perspective other than his own. So like with the torture cuffs argument that he makes, he views cuffs being on him as torture, and his lack of empathy prevents him from seeing that cuffs on somebody else may not be torture. He thinks to him, every time he's cuffed, he's being tortured, therefore all cuffs are torture. Or if he's being sent to jail, it's being locked in a dungeon, and therefore every time somebody is sent to jail, they're locked in a dungeon. That's the nuance of the lack of empathy, narcissism argument that I saw come out in this.
I do think that, well, I mean, again, none of us are psychologists, none of us are psychiatrists, but
right.
I can easily see the inflated sense of self-importance throughout this. I mean, for God's sakes, he is nodding with aggressive agreement to his own to his own video, to himself speaking. Like, this guy is right talking about himself. And I mean, he's doing, I mean, I think I've done that, but I've done that ironically. I think he's being unironic about that and referencing his own talk. Again, but I mean, I've seen this in a lot of other sovereign citizen gurus. Again, sort of like it's, they have the inflated sense of self-importance. It's me against the world. I'm the one who can save you. I'm the one who has the solution. And again, I mean, for God's sakes, the man has been on like 10, 15 live streams in the last 72 hours. But yeah. It's there, but let's see if is there any other timestamp after this one?
I didn't have any more timestamps after this one.
I just want to see what else he finishes off with this little rant is, or if he's going to continue on.
They say, oh, start a grassroots effort. No. America, it's top-down power. It's money-down power. That's how America works. They've lied to you. Oh, start a grassroots effort. No, it doesn't work. You go to the top and it rolls down. Just like the war on drugs in 1971 was started by Richard Nixon. And then what happens there? It rolls down. And now all the municipalities, cities, and states. Why do you think Blankenshit on Facebook, why do you think they celebrated Blankenshit getting a drug bust? Go to the Ironton Police Department Facebook page. Why are they celebrating Blankenshit getting a drug bust? Because a drug bust from the 1971 war on drugs implemented by Richard Nixon, he will tell his number one man, a guy named John Erkelman, who's going to do an interview in Harper Bazaar magazine in 1993. And John Erkelman, E-R-C-H-L-I-M-A-N, I hope I'm not misspelling that. But John Erkelman will say that Richard Nixon declares war on drugs so he can arrest the hippies and blacks. That's what Richard Nixon tells John Erkelman. And then he dies. Typical.
Is he implying
it is typical. We all die. What?
I mean, is he implying a conspiracy there? But I believe that's actually been corroborated, that statement. But at the same time, he's drawing the link that the local PD doing a major drug bust is intrinsically done, or they're celebrating that they did this drug bust because they arrested the blacks or black people in this drug bust. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions being made here but I mean, I don't want to get into a discussion on the war on drugs because that's going to open up a can of worms and we can go on for hours about that. But the logical connection here is a bit lacking. And I think, again, he's using his own personal bias of the police to make the assumption of why there is a celebration of a drug bust to what Erkelman said to Nixon that he was quoted on.
And one other thing that I find ironic here is that personal views on the war on drugs aside, he loves to say, I'm for law and order. I'm not a sovereign citizen because I'm for law and order. But then if certain drugs are outlawed in the state of Ohio, the police are following those laws by interdicting and preventing the drug trade and arresting people for possession of drugs because it's against the laws in the state. Yep. So they would be acting in a law and order capacity. So
I believe
contradicting himself.
It's in this video. I could be wrong, but I think it's in this one. He says, hey, cops, I don't have any marijuana in my vehicle, so don't pull me over. As if that's going to matter, right? Like, oh, well, I know that you're corrupt if you pull me over because I don't have drugs. Well, there are tons of reasons they could pull him over, right? And he goes back to, I have all these informants that are saying you're going to pull me over.
If you go to the start of this video, he may be discussing his confidential informant alleging that the police are going to plant drugs on him so they can arrest him.
I mean, he might be making
at the
that
start
claim
of this video.
But he's also saying that, oh, I don't do drugs. I'm not a criminal. He has a strong criminal record for someone who's not a criminal. But he goes on to say, I don't do drugs.
If somebody has marijuana, I'll smoke it.
But yeah, but if someone has marijuana, I'll smoke it. It's not a crime. First of all, marijuana is a drug, the thing he's saying he doesn't do. And second, it is a crime in Ohio for recreational use. It's allowed for medical use,
medicinal purposes.
Medicinal, yeah. But you need a doctor sign off on that, I believe.
Right.
So we can't just go over to someone's house and smoke their medicinal marijuana that they've been prescribed, to my knowledge. So he's making a lot of contradictions. He's doing a lot of this stuff. As to his personality, I'm also not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything like that. But I did do a lot of behavioral analysis in the context of interviews and interrogations. And what we have here, in my opinion, how I would approach this if I was doing an interrogation on him, he's someone that grew up feeling like he was better than he was, that his small town in Alaska was not big enough for him. He didn't apply himself because he was too good. He, according to himself, graduated at the second from the bottom of his class in high school. He then went to California with big dreams and aspirations to be an actor. Did not work out for him, but he did a lot of partying. He got busted for that, it would appear. His claims of no-knock raids for possession of, he says, marijuana and steroids, right? Like, he has a potential history. It would appear that he was not convicted of that.
Mm-hmm.
But his own statement was, they had a warrant to search my home based on some baseball player he had partied with, who he was dating the wife of, estranged wife, I believe. He got mad. He moved across the country. The baseball player followed. Like, his story does not quite add up. There's a lot just like that. That isn't, your timeline's wrong. So I'm still trying to piece that together. I'm waiting for something from LAPD to really put the final piece in. But he's saying, oh yeah, that someone falsely claimed something about drugs. And then it turns out there were drugs. Like, it sounds like they knew what they were talking about. And then he says a month later, he was no-knock raided. He doesn't understand the difference between a warrant and a no-knock warrant raid. He gets it wrong. It's just everything he says is wrong. He says, the police saw me at a gym I worked at, an MMA gym. And then they arrested me for that, which it sounds like maybe there was a condition of his bail that prohibited him from going back to the place where he might have gotten the syringes, right, or the steroids. And perhaps he violated that. That's some of the information I'm waiting on. But he makes himself the victim all the time. But he also has this history of running scams. He has tons of businesses that he's opened and closed. There may have been tax problems with them. None of the businesses seem to have any legitimate anything to him. There's no website. There's no Facebook presence. And it feels very much with the amount of them that he's filed and the amount of time he's filed them over, that it's just, he does a thing and he abandons it once the heat gets too hot. He moves on to the next. And now here we have him going over this the Terry v. Ohio, which is the start of what we're seeing right here, where he started putting together a bunch of information that is not correct and trying to appeal to a group of people, often minorities, that are easily preyed upon for their money. There are statements from what appears to be his deleted Instagram account where he says things, assuming it is him and not some fakery, where he says, I don't care about black people. I don't have any real subscribers. I'm just doing this because reason, fight me, which is his standard go-to, which is a thing that you might expect from someone who does steroids a lot. Not saying he does. It's consistent with someone who does steroids. And now he's doing this. And I think maybe if that is all a scam, it's run out. And now he has to try to spread out and go elsewhere and try to do a different angle. The problem is the way he's doing it, he's going very hard, very fast. And his behavior that we're seeing is indicative of some sort of breakdown. I think he has expanded too quickly and it's starting to collapse in on himself. And with all these things that he's doing that may be illegal, I very much expect everything to just smack back down on him and delete him off of YouTube, basically. Like, take him out for a bit while he's in jail or dealing with legal problems. It's I expect very soon, within a few months maybe, to see some serious action against him if he continues this path.
The thing that would confirm for me that he has been operating this whole persona in Ironton as a scam to take advantage of Sarah's situation is if he goes to a bank and tries to show that power of attorney that he alleges is valid to do something with her bank account. If he does that, that is the biggest red flag you could possibly put up, and I would hope that no bank teller would consider it legitimate.
Right. So I'm trying hard to find I mean, there's a few here. I'm trying to find what he's talking about with regards to this bust. Does he know specifically what he's referring to about this bust? I mean, so far the only one I have is the most recent one, or as far as like Ironton Police Department, is they arrested an individual on January 20th of this year a Michael Jenkins, 23 of Ironton, for selling drugs to an undercover agent near a school. And it was fentanyl. Other busts that I've seen in the Ironton area involve heroin. They involve what was it? It wasn't just heroin. It was methamphetamine. Again, don't want to go too deep into the war on drugs bit, but my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that fentanyl and meth, that's not weed, right? That's not marijuana. That's hard drugs, and not only that, those are mostly white folk related drugs too.
And those are the more lethal drugs.
Yeah, super lethal.
You're not going to overdose on marijuana, but you could overdose on even like the grain of salt versus smaller size amount of fentanyl could kill you.
Like I see one arrest here from July of last year for cocaine, but I don't have a picture of the suspect. But again, the drug arrests that I've seen aren't marijuana. A lot of these are kind of the hard stuff. That's still very frowned upon, notwithstanding the current trend of decriminalization of marijuana.
And like you said already, not wanting to comment on the war on drugs, but whether or not you agree with the efforts being taken are valid or not, that's a policy question. That's not a stop the individual cops who are enforcing the laws currently on the books question. That's a go to your legislature, run for the state senate yourself, and make change that way kind of thing.
I agree.
Typical. So anybody tries to limit my First Amendment right, there's more people in this town, people who you think that are on your side, they're the ones sending me the information, Doug. And Doug, I think you got a little bit of money, bro.
Yeah, Doug.
I went through all your profiles. It looks like you got a little bit of money. I hope I get to take it.
Wait, who's Doug?
There was I think he was a high school student who posted something on Facebook.
Wait, he's threatening to sue a kid?
I don't know if he's in high school or not, but it's a guy who posted on Facebook that he saw this prick riding through town or something. If you see him post location, it was like the follow him where he's at in town kind of thing. And so now he's saying that's incitement to harass him and that he can sue him.
That's great.
You don't get to stifle my First Amendment right. And if anybody here stalks me, I got 5 cameras in my car facing 5 different directions.
Weird flex, but okay.
So if you stalk me and I see you follow me more than twice, I'll sue you.
Come on, man.
And it's transparent. Everybody gets to see everything now. The camera changes everything. We can finally live to the Bill of Rights. Thank the Lord above. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for giving us a portable camera.
I can explain what's happening here.
What's happening here?
So someone made a post saying, hey, here's this guy who's going around harassing people. If you see him, post where he is. Chile is saying that's harassment. It does not rise to harassment in Ohio. Harassment, there is no actual harassment statute in Ohio, I believe, other than electronic harassment, which this would not fall under. It would be not malicious stalking. It would be some sort of stalking. And that requires, you probably know, Paul.
Well, I was going to interject. Did the post say post his location, or did it say post the location? Because that could be a distinction. Like if you're saying show where this guy is and keep posting the location, I could see an argument being made for criminal harassment in that regard. But if the post said, if you see a guy, something happening, post the location of where you are, that may just be tracking something that's going on.
That's fair. Now, my understanding, because I was reading through this, I've dealt with harassment here in Washington State on the investigation side, so that may not be applicable, but that's how I'm trying to apply it. Is in Ohio, it has to either be mental anguish, the intent of mental anguish, or physical harm, or he has to believe that he is going to be the victim of mental anguish or physical harm. The post didn't say anything about what to do with that location. And Chili is considered a public figure, or he should be, per legal precedent, be considered a public figure. He is certainly making himself a public figure. And this should be no different in the eyes of the law based on what I've read on something like a celebrity, where, oh my God, there's a celebrity at Starbucks. They're there, right? The poster never says what to do with that information. Now, if things escalated from there, yes, it could become an issue. And based on possibly things that Chili experienced, he may have an argument. But just based on that post and that post alone, having talked to prosecutors in the past in different states about this, I doubt that anyone would take this. But I cannot personally confirm 100%.
Yeah, so the statute for telecommunications harassment is ORC 2917.21. And what he also seems to be conflating here is that if you harass somebody, that's a criminal charge. They may be able to sue you for some specific torts, but he's claiming deprivation of First Amendment rights because of his journalism activity. A person posting your location on Facebook, even if it is directed at him and saying post his location and where he is not deterring his First Amendment rights. And what's more, he's disclosing his location to everyone with all of the live streaming that he's doing.
Also
he said in multiple videos in the last 2 days, I'm going to be at McDonald's. I'm going to be at this coffee shop. Come tell me your story. So he's drawing the public to him.
I'm at the city clerk's office.
I think, you would have a tough time convincing me that he is having his location exposed contrary to his wishes in this circumstance.
Yeah. It's called Spot the Prick That's Harassing Our Police Department and High School Students. If you see him out and about, post the location. Now it does say hashtag get out of our town. And that's a good argument for him, right? That works for him against the poster. But
yes,
I mean, it could be a call to journalism against him. It really depends on, as far as investigating this, what the intent of the message was, and you'd have to interview all parties involved. But I think he's making a bigger deal out of this, or he's trying to pretend this is a bigger deal than it actually is legally. You can make a lot of arguments, but I've seen this before, and I know that a lot of people just wouldn't take it.
He made a post, something to the effect of, this is an official cease and desist. He made it as a community post on YouTube. I didn't have a chance to check the law on that one, but I'm pretty confident that a YouTube post does not constitute a valid cease and desist letter.
No.
Well, I mean, most cease and desists aren't they're not necessarily legally binding anyway, in a sense. I mean, in many jurisdictions, they're the point is to, hey, we're a law firm, and knock it off, or we'll file litigation.
Part of a valid stalking claim may involve showing I made these cease and desist efforts to get him to stop, and then I did this in violation of that. It's more supporting or corroborating evidence of your claims. But I mean, a YouTube post, I don't know. A cease and desist letter that comes from a law firm is on letterhead,
and there was much rejoicing.
That's legitimately to me. Yeah, right. No, I agree. In terms of balancing that kind of a factor into it, especially when the original poster came from Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So then, why would you post a cease and desist on YouTube?
That's a good question. I mean,
a different social media platform.
Facebook page?
I probably.
Yeah, I believe he does. He says he has all of their information. He says, I believe this video says, I have all your information. You have people that sent this to me. They're working against you. Haha, it's a common claim of his. And he says, I've sent them all a cease and desist. But then he posted that cease and desist. So I wonder if that's the only one, or if he's reached out to all of them individually. I don't know if the post has been deleted. But all of this is very flimsy.
Right.
Go
ahead.
No, it just cements the idea that he's all just bluff and hot air, and he doesn't really follow through with things. I don't think he can.
Again, the inflated sense of self-importance, alluding to the secret meetings, alluding to the supposed informants that he has, alluding to, trying to go through all of these different individuals and saying, I can help you, I'm your savior. Follow me type of thing.
The big difference between Thomas Jefferson and James Madison.
Oh my God, is he going to compare himself to them?
And you can get the book written by Noah Feldman from Harvard. He wrote a book about James Madison and Thomas Jefferson. And the big difference between Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, just so you know, and this ties into the camera and what morality actually means.
Well, one was a Federalist and one was an Anti-Federalist, but please
Neither
go
of them
on.
own cameras.
Research Divine Morality by John Locke. I can't educate. Go to Jeffrey Kaplan's page about divine morality and John Locke. You're going to love Jeffrey Kaplan's lecture on divine morality. And that if you
Wait, I thought he was going to tell me the difference between the two, and then he went to John Locke and Kaplan. What?
He'll discuss it a little bit in the next couple of sentences, but Blue, I wanted to go off of your point. Oh God, how do I say it? He keeps saying we can finally fulfill the Bill of Rights now that we have cameras. Like, that's a disingenuous position to take, right? Because the founding fathers wrote the Bill of Rights at a technological period where there weren't cameras. So they had expectations that these goals could be met without that technology. Now, I'm not saying that cameras can't be extremely helpful in enforcing some of these Bill of Rights matters that we see come into conflict with each other. But
I mean, if you want to be charitable, that could be what he's alluding to.
True. But he's like, we can only fulfill the Bill of Rights now that we have cameras.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Believe in God. And so what happens here, though, Jefferson and Madison, what Noah Feldman did, who's one of the foremost constitutional scholars in America, he's actually classically smart, classically trained. I'm just a guy who all of a sudden realized, oh, wow, I got a brain. So,
oh my fucking God.
So now what happened
but he's going to represent people.
When you read the letters back and forth in Noah Feldman's book, Thomas Jefferson believed that black people were inferior, that they were less than, that they didn't have the proper brain functionality to be like me and you. And that they didn't feel pain like you and I did, and that they didn't have the same emotional connections in their families, and that they didn't acquire friendships the same way, that black people were just kind of a different species. So then you think you would have pity on that person who doesn't have the same mental capacity that you and I do. Now, James Madison, two of the brightest guys in the world, Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. James Madison, they say, could have been as smart as Einstein. Now, James Madison told Thomas Jefferson in Noah Feldman's book that you can read, if you read. And he tells him, he writes him back a letter, and he goes, no, Thomas. No. Thomas, you're wrong. Black people, slaves, they're the same as me and you. They feel emotions, they feel pain, they feel love, they feel hate, they feel indignant, they feel everything that you and I do. They're the same as you and me. And Thomas Jefferson had this debate back and forth with James Madison. They both had slaves, lots of slaves. Thomas Jefferson would sell his own children into slavery. And they had this back and forth. So let me ask you a question now, and you be the judge. Who's worse? Which one's worse? One guy who knows or he believes that black people are inferior beings and they, you should have pity on those people, or the guy who believes that they're the same as you and me, they have the same brain functionality. Both of them will watch those people be shackled, shot, hung, raped, killed. Who's better? Which one's better? Right? It goes around and around in my mind, and I can't ever stop thinking about it, to be honest with you. You know better. You know that person. If we play out Thomas Jefferson's philosophy that those people are inferior, that they're a subspecies to us, if you believe that about black folks, which I don't, then you would
glad you can clarify that for us.
Have pity on that person.
Yeah. Other statements indicate otherwise.
You would feel like that's still a human being. They just don't have the same capacities that you and I do. We should have pity on that person, and we should take care of that person like we do the mentally ill today. But black people are not mentally ill. That's all bullshit. And then James Madison, who believes that they're equals, but yet he still buys them, sells them into slavery. Because everybody's a part of their culture. Everybody's a part of the zeitgeist that they're living through. So now what's happening today, and the reason why so many people here are mad at me, is because the zeitgeist has changed. The zeitgeist, what that means is it's the culture, it's the flavor, it's the taste, it's the spirit of the culture. That's what zeitgeist means. And so they're mad at me because this camera upsets the apple cart of their corruption, lies, raping, killing, murdering, cheating, taking your driver's license and putting it in their pocket and walking away, taking your registration, taking $300 out of your console, taking $2,000 out of your pocket, taking your money, touching your daughter in a high school gym, in a high school bathroom,
Okay, so that's an allegation that he's making against police officers. So if I'm to try and understand this guy's argument, is that because the state of play, as it were, the zeitgeist, as he alludes to, was at the time of the founding, blacks were still considered chattel property, and that was the cultural norm of the time. That he is comparing that cultural norm of the time to the current cultural norm of police officers enforcing traffic laws. Is that what I'm am I hearing from him?
It feels that way. He likes to take things and apply them to smaller things to make the smaller things look bigger. I have figured out the whole Bill of Rights thing that he's talking about with the cameras. There's a statement he made that I've remembered, which is the Bill of Rights was meant to be upheld and make sure the government didn't utilize excessive power over citizens. But before cameras existed, that was never possible. But now that cameras exist, it is possible. Except in this video, he's also complaining about how awful cameras are when used against him, which I think is kind of hilarious, that he's literally doing a thing, and then when other people do the exact same thing, he's like, no, but not me. So
he also made the comment about, I don't want to get into like the nitpicking words and things, but like we're hearing your words and we are commenting on why we think what those words say is wrong. Like these are refuting your claims. How is that something to not want to have nitpicked? Like if you're making an incorrect claim, you keep saying, if I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah.
Excuse me, feeling up your kids in a high school. Why are they doing that? Why is an individual cop feeling up any kid at any age under 18 years old? Why are cops searching kids at high schools? How many shootings have there been here? And by the way, just so you know, a school shooting, you're more likely to be attacked by a shark. Here, right here in Ohio. That's how much likely it is you're gonna have a school shooting. But now we have metal detectors and cops all through the schools. It's called the school to prison pipeline. And it's thick here, it's thick. Because you got pigs like Hanshaw who point out the people who he doesn't like. He simply doesn't like them. And then he forwards those names to the other pigs like Blankenship and McKnight. And then they harass and arrest those kids. Why is it that when I hit the street, one person's like, oh my God, help us. The other one's like, get the hell out of here, I hate you.
Again, alluding to the fact that not everybody in town is happy for him to be there.
The camera. It's the camera.
And also activism versus journalism.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, Ohio's more or less landlocked with the exception of the Great Lakes, right?
Correct.
Are there sharks in the Great Lakes?
No.
So the chance of getting attacked by a shark in Ohio is essentially zero unless you work at an aquarium, I imagine. There have been school shootings in Ohio. So that's absolutely false that you're more likely to get attacked by a shark than shot in a school.
We need that GIF of the rubber stamp that says citation needed.
Yeah.
Change has arrived. I implore all of you, especially if you are
lampreys, Pedro. Maybe in the river.
I recommend all of you go and watch Jeffrey Kaplan's lecture on divine morality. Jeffrey Kaplan's a professor at, I think he's at Stanford. No, that's Jack Rakove. Jack Rakove's at Stanford. Okay. You're harassing me. You're harassing the press law now.
Wait,
with the video
wait. Okay, I have to hear somebody's harassing the press.
I just go on and I watch lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture, so that I can sue people who defame me or cheat me. Because the court of law now, with the video of it and a digital transmission of it, where I got the screenshot of you trying to track me down, and then it happens in reality and someone stalks me down, you're harassing me. You're harassing the press. You're trying to stop the story. That violates my constitutional rights, you dumb. I'm trying to keep the language clear here. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, sure you are.
So, okay.
Yeah,
there it is.
The government, though.
There it is. Now you know what's going on. I've got to do a couple things. I've got the petition ready. I'm going to go get that done, and I'm going to get into town, and I'm going to have the petition for everybody. Maybe I'll just put it online so people can download it so I don't get mobbed. But I don't want to cause any kind of... and remember, listen.
Again, inflative sense of self-importance.
Last thing, and then I'm going to go. No physical violence. Martin Luther King was in, Malcolm X. You go down the line of people who led to a...
I think
Malcolm X was pretty violent.
Yeah, I could have. I mean, I. It's been a long time, but I could have sworn one of the distinguishing elements between Dr. King and Malcolm X was willing to engage in violence to advance civil rights.
Also, fun fact, a member of one of the precursors to the modern Moorish American sovereign movement. Temporarily.
Yeah.
New paradigm, to a new culture, to a new reality, to truth, to freedom, to light.
Oh my God.
All of those people were infiltrated by people who promoted violence, who allowed violence around them, and I will not tolerate it. If you talk about hurting people, I will delete you. If you talk about attacking people, I will delete you from my life. No violence. We do this through the First Amendment, through the freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom to petition, and freedom of speech.
I'll delete
and the
you,
fifth
but
one
not
is
violently.
what? Freedom of religion. And that's why I want you to watch Divine Morality by John Locke. And when you find out that you're a being of God and that you don't belong being shackled like a pig.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Atlas 6355 during the debate between Team Skeptic, like he challenged people to a fight at one point.
So to his credit, he's confronted in person several members of the town of Ironton, or rather they have come to him in a confrontational manner, but he has not, like, he's de-escalated some of those situations himself. I'll give him credit for that. And he's never thrown a punch that I've seen on video, but he does continuously try and goad police officers into a cage match with him at the gym. He says he wants to do a charity
he says that a
event where
lot.
he will fight them. And that's the, I mean, it just, he loves the alpha male, beta male mentality, but it just smacks of toxic.
Yeah, he's challenged me.
Epic cringe. He does like the very epic cringe alpha male thing, and the typical like ACAB FTP addict of it. If you didn't have your badge or gun, you know, I whooped the shit out of you type of John. You know, take off those cuffs, take off that badge, and let's go. Yeah, but he's totally peaceful. He's totally nonviolent. Absolutely peaceful.
Then maybe you'll join me, because there's a lot of people here being hurt. So there it is.
And one other thing about the
thanks for your time this morning. I
police.
appreciate it. I do have things I have to do. I really have to get a couple things done before it's 4 o'clock. So I've got to get these things done, okay? Thank you guys for your time. God bless you. Remember, go get the digital trifold off Delete Lawz. It's totally free. You just got to print it out. That's all you got to do. Digital trifold, you invoke the fifth. First thing you do when you see a pig, film him. Film him, film him. Immediately turn your camera on, put it right in his face. You've been exposed! Fifth Amendment, and you hold the trifold and you don't say another word. Film everything that's going on. If he takes your phone out of your hand, that's a violation of...
And there was much rejoicing.
No, it's actually
your
not.
First Amendment right if he takes the phone out of your
arrested.
hand. And since your camera's rolling, do not delete the video. Do not allow them to delete your videos, Pam Wagner. I got girls on there openly testifying that Pam Wagner made them delete that. I was in Pam's eye to try to ban.
All right, I'm not gonna let him continue to blow V8. We're done here. And it's 10:15.
I had a timestamp for it too.
Right, but it is 10:15, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Where were we with the super chats? Where are they? Oh, I see. Joshua Lee, thank you for the $10. Oops. Excuse me, $5. My bad. Mandy, there you are. Yep, Mandy, go ahead and
I'm here. Yeah. All right. Let me put that up. Okay.
Joke's on you. It's only 7:15 here.
Well, ha 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 ha.
Okay, Joshua Lee, we left off with the $5 super chat. Sorry. I'm trying to find it.
You mean the mythical federal lawsuits that sovcits and fraudsters always say they will file, but nothing ever happens, Artie? Yes, exactly. You found it?
And then the $4.99 super chat from Vaping X. I can send you a video where it started to get it ran off Instagram because of that statement and his race baiting using MOS definitely and getting called out. And Joshua Lee sent a $5 super chat. Paranoid much, Chili? Aaron sent a $5 super chat.
You missed you're missing a couple of them. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, KFAR, thank you for the $1 super chat. Joshua Lee, another $5. As a current executor of my parents' estate, I fully agree with what's being said. Please get you and your loved ones' wills filled out. I couldn't agree more. Hank's Corner, $5. It was Chili Con Carn Artist. Nice. The love child of Sally, Jesse, Raphael, and Stuart Smalley. Unfortunately, I don't know who that is, but I appreciate the Chili Con Carn Artist. Well played there. Kivy Texas, 1999 super chat. Thank you very much. Smoking jacket time, Blue Bacon. He's already sporting that one out.
Yeah, I told him if they donated $20, I'd put it on.
Joshua Lee, another $20 for Blue Bacon to put on a smoking jacket. Joan Sally, thank you for the $1 super chat. Tones Overthink It, $5. I'm confident his objective in his head is that if he gets to play lawyer in a real case and win, it will give his whole platform scam legitimacy. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. A lot of these guys are so desperate for a win because if they can get one by any means, it will give him agency. Miss Lanny, $4.99. Blue Bacon, do you need more apple juice? Do you have plenty of it? It looks like your apple juice is pretty full, so I think he's.
I have topped up in the middle.
Manda Cullen, 145. Delete Lawz needs to be muted. Period. Hey, a panel. Thank you very much, Manda. Joshua Lee, another $5. Thank you for your support, Joshua. I've seen you there. I appreciate it, man. He goes to court every day, but yet has learned absolutely nothing. Aaron, $5. He has no patience for garbage and BS. What is he talking about? Garbage and BS is all that comes out of his mouth. Couldn't agree more. Joshua Lee, another $5. I'm getting flashbacks of Jeremy DeWitt. Sergeant. Yeah, we're just waiting for that one. TC, $5. He's the Professor Harold Hill, music man of constitutional law, traveling town to town and collecting powers of attorney and filing civil rights lawsuits. It does seem like he's like that sort of traveling salesman, or the freaking guy from the Simpsons episode selling the monorail, where he just takes the money and run. God, I feel like I'm showing my age by referencing that episode.
So.
Ed 2276 First Amendment law sent $10. Wasn't Marbury versus Madison about presidential appointment effectiveness after presidential term ended and a new president takes office? I don't remember the federal versus state law supremacy question. Yes, that was. I think that was the explicit details of the case in chief, but the ultimate takeaway from Marbury versus Madison was really about the Supreme Court's authority. And that the Supreme Court, about the number one, the supremacy of the Constitution, but also the ability of the Supreme Court to strike down laws that violate the Constitution. Marbury versus Madison effectively granted that explicit authority, that authority of the Supreme Court from there on out. That was the main takeaway, but I believe the details of Marbury versus Madison did deal with an appointment. Kim Crawford, thank you for becoming a member. KFAR, thank you again for becoming a member. Pat's Cats 999, a great stream. Thank you all. Thank you very much. And I think we're now caught up. I think you're out to Aaron, Mandy, with the $5 super chat.
He has no patience for garbage and BS. What is he talking about? Garbage and BS.
Wait, no. We're past that.
Joshua Lee, $5 super chat.
Where is it?
Flashbacks to Germany.
No. We're past that. You said paranoid much from Joshua Lee, and then he said was the last one you talked about.
Okay. Vaping X, Joshua Lee. Aaron sent a $5 super chat. Yes, the camera does change everything. Now everyone can see you for the person you are. Taco and Yoshi Gaming sent a $2 super chat. Do you think he calls his Uber driver Zordon?
I get it. Oh my god. I'm not even going to explain the reference. If you don't know the reference, you just don't know. And only those who are in the know are in the know.
Spiley sent a $2 super chat. Manager kicked him out of McDonald's.
Yeah, they did, which was actually pretty funny. And he was really... I was actually thinking whether or not he was going to sue the manager of McDonald's at this point. But I guess that remains to be seen.
Wonder Woman Goddess of Truth sent a $9.99 super chat. If anyone on the panel has either of the case files themselves or links to numbers, can you please share them somewhere? I want to follow this gas bag's losses. Joshua Lee sent a $5
He may
super chat.
document them himself.
Yeah.
Joshua Lee sent a $5 super chat. Delete Lawz as Glenn Serio's clone. Change my mind.
He does really focus on physical fitness, so maybe not necessarily like Glenn Serio in that regard.
True. Wonder Woman Goddess of Truth sent a $5 super chat. We should set up a celebrity boxing match between this gas bag and Devon Rayburn, not Bay.
Ugh. The less I hear about that individual, the better. Yeah, moving on.
Commentator Auditor sent a $20 super chat. Delete Lawz, more like delete brains.
Got him.
Thank you for the $20 super chat. Green Menace sent a $9.99 super chat. Thank you for the stream, Artie and guests. It was awesome. Hope you all well, and fur minions as well.
Well,
thank you, everybody.
The fur minions were messing with the little automatic laser light that I had earlier. Blue Bacon is currently raving out in his blue jacket. But
I'm getting swatted. It's all right.
Oh, gotcha. Not nice. Before we close out, people were asking me in the chat, Paul, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do not, actually.
Do you have anything to plug?
No, not really. If you want to have me back on the show, they can plug that.
Well, either way, yes, we would love to have you back on the show, especially while this guy remains in Ironton, and this is causing more newsworthy events while down there. But I think both Blue Bacon and I want to thank you very much for reaching out to us and
absolutely
highlighting the particular videos, because again, I'm aware of his presence, but I mean, like, I'm not paying attention to everything that he does, especially when he's doing a live stream every 3 hours. So I would have not been able to catch what you have pointed out to us. What The cat's staring at me. I wouldn't have been able to catch it unless you brought it to my attention. So we both really appreciate it, and we would love to have you back as this thing develops further.
And the majority of the sovereign citizen videos, I feel like, is just them getting themselves into trouble. This is one that really stood out as him potentially getting somebody else into trouble.
Yes,
which was the big red flag.
Correct. So again, thank you very much. Blue Bacon, what do you got for us upcoming?
Party at my place. After party for the stream.
Ah, that's right.
Chat wants it. I'm doing it. I guess it's happening. But thank you so much for having me on here. You know, I always love showing up to these things and, bring my own particular brand of weirdness to it. But yeah, good times as always. Thank you so much.
Right on. All right, guys. Thank you, Mandy, as always, my wonderful producer, always helping us out, keeping the mods in check and making sure the chat stays nice and tidy. So I want to thank you guys for being with me tonight. I hope you had fun. I had fun. It was a pretty interesting. I'm very curious as to whether or not Delete Lawz makes a note of this. I couldn't care less one way or the other, but we'll see what happens. Because like I said, this guy really loves people drawing attention to him. Congratulations, Delete Lawz. You got your video from me. Unless you do something, wild and crazy by getting yourself arrested, I'm probably not going to be paying attention to you much more after this. What were you going to say, Paul?
One of the things I wish I had a timestamp for on a video is his new system called transparency. His arguments for like digital detainment as opposed to actual physical detainment by police.
Wait, what?
It's something that,
it's stupid. It doesn't work.
In multiple videos, he's said instead of the police physically arresting somebody, they should just put a camera on them and say, "You're caught. Well, let's go to court. The judge is going to see this video, and as a result, the people are going to say, "Okay, yeah, you got me," and then go to court.
From
what I can stand, that's his legitimate argument.
That was
physical
well, yeah, that's right. I kept on asking whether or not he had like an alternative to handcuffs, especially where one of the arguments was like, look, all I do is just tell them I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to do anything. They don't need to arrest you because I said so. And then I see last night my viewers see a couple of these police body cam videos of these people saying they're not going to do anything, and then they do stuff to get themselves out of detainment.
And just in direct contradiction to his assertions that he claims 90% of people would agree to just go to court if they're put on camera committing a crime, and that only 10% of people are criminally insane, as he says, and would refuse to abide by that rule, which again is my argument about the empathy, or the lack of empathy that he seems to experience. He may say, I would do that, and I would go to court at the behest of a police officer with me on camera, and therefore everybody else would too. And if you don't do that, then you're criminally insane. But I have videos of, one of which is in Ohio, of a guy who was before a judge for like a minor theft sentencing or something like that, and he gets sentenced to 60 days in jail, and then just leaves the courtroom, gets in his car, flees the police, and gets in a car crash. So he was not in handcuffs. He was directly on camera in a court building and still walked out.
What happens if you're like, not today, gentlemen. I got like a birthday party. My kid's turning 5. And you just do that every single day. What are they going to do? Sir, we got you on camera again. But you can't touch me.
Even though
tomorrow.
I'm amazed that this guy thinks that that's going to work when this guy is clearly the embodiment of ACAB, FTP, this, that, and the other. The rhetoric doesn't match his claim of supposed obedience to a lawful order. I'm not seeing that there.
And there was a book published about the use of the insanity defense in felony cases, and it was something to the effect of like less than 1% of cases use the insanity defense, and only a fraction of those cases is it actually successful. So his claim that 10% of the population is criminally insane and wouldn't abide by this digital detention policy is also wrong. And it's mind-boggling that he thinks that would be an effective strategy.
Exactly. All right. Thank you guys again. As always, have a good night. Blue Bacon, I'll see you on your live stream. And yeah, you guys have a great rest of your evening. Take care.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
A pimp, not a simp. A pimp, not a simp.
See you when I see you.